Okay, everyone, I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is 5:01 on May 16th. Do roll call.
Tyler,
Here.
Isaac,
Here.
Darcy,
Here.
Michael,
Here.
Lana, Betty,
Here.
Sean, Kimberly Hampton,
Here.
Bridget,
Here.
Kimberly Lee,
Here.
Rob.
Here.
Austin.
Okay, so we have a quorum today, and we have the following items on our agenda. We have invocation, membership participation. We have the following resolutions: transformational shelter plan, approving government year-end reconciliation policy, approving governmental budget policy, approving enterprise budget policy, authorization to negotiate and purchase property, adding all Powell grounds to cost center 8628, award contracts to Wayne's Electrical and GT Mobile Communication, FY 2023 governmental CapEx, Sioux Tribe Construction, grants mobilization, HC Emergency Response to Suicide Prevention, HC Sioux Tribe Dental, authorization to negotiate / make changes with MSHS on tribal HC, urging an amendment to INA for purposes of the J Treaty, establishing authority to direct election committee amending tribal code chapter 10 election ordinance, directing the election committee to void special election, rescinding resolution emergency powers to direct election committee. And under new business, we have election committee violation, and we have committee appointments. Is there a motion to accept this agenda? Support. Motion by Betty, support by Tyler. All those in favor signify by saying. Those opposed? Those abstain? Motion carries. Is there any objection to adding the following resolutions to tonight's agenda? The first one is proclamation in support of National Treatment Court Month, and the second one is approving bridge financing for Indian Energy sub-entity. All right, hearing no objection, we'll add those two resolutions to the bottom of resolutions. So those will be the last two resolutions that we do. So the item that we're on now is invocation with traditional medicine.
Buju, feel free to sit down if you want. That's okay. Bidwe wadan indijna kaz bao ting donjaba nimki benesi dodem. Bungi anishna bemo and jaganashmo and nadamotion. Binda kujagewin ninsema from the leadership to do a prayer and smudge. So I'm going to sing a song, but I did want to just put out some prayers. I was contacted to do a prayer for some of our Sioux Tribe members that are dealing with some illness. So if we could all, during this prayer, during this song for healing, if we could think about those people in our communities that are kind of going through a hard time, and then we can offer some special prayers for those that are sick and in need. Iwa e sa, kasawa kisha ko. I just wanted to say some special prayers, like I said, for those that are sick right now and at home or in the hospital. When we leave here, that tobacco offering that was passed, NINSEMA or tobacco is one of our oldest ways of asking for help, whether it be individually or in a group setting, and that tobacco really leads our people. So if there's ever anything that you're dealing with or suffering with, turn to that tobacco. And a really good teaching is, if there's something that you're having a hard time with in the morning, you would get up before the sun, right as it's rising, and you would take that tobacco and you put it outside. And if you have a spirit name, you would use that, or just your name. And you call on your helpers and creator to come in and help you, and be very specific with that tobacco. And you're asking for it to help guide you. And you would do that for 4 days straight for a certain issue. And they say that you'll get your answer after those 4 days. So with that, I just wanted to say Chimigwech, and I wish you all the best.
Hey, thank you, Lori. All right, so we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is membership participation. So if anyone wants to address the board, they can do so. They have 5 minutes to, talk about whatever they want to, within reason, obviously. So you're not allowed to direct questions or comments to a specific board member. We have a couple other rules as well. The first one up can be Michelle Collins.
Ani Wasegi Zugokwe, Adijnakas. My first item that I put up to discuss was the transitional shelter plan. I know last time you guys said that it was going to be opening on June 1st. I see the resolution tonight for 66 smoke detectors for the shelter. From my understanding, the last time we talked about it, y'all had stated it was a 12-bed shelter. So I'm wondering why we're ordering 66 detectors, or is it just so we have them supplied for the duration of the opening? My second item was regarding the contracts to Wayne's Electrical and GT Mobile Communications. It states in the resolution tonight that we are requesting a DSX Pure Access system from GT Mobile Communications, which is a communications company out of Traverse City. When I visited their website and tried to click on the PDF that explained what exactly a DSX Pure Access system was, the website didn't work. So if you could clarify what that is. And then, the code violations. If we are going to void this election as stated on this resolution here, will we be going back to void all of the special elections that occurred since the election violations stemming from the 2022 election? Lastly, it would be nice if y'all took the opportunity to, or took the time to put some sort of monitor back here, because there's some people that don't hear very well. So having something with captions that they could read because they can't hear, that would be a super easy thing to do to help people at these meetings. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Michelle. Cecil Pavlot, would you like to come up next?
Anin, Mojo, Hagigidong Wasa Nin, Ojibwe Mino Jagana Shiendao, Haji Juk and Dodem, O Ting Mompi and Donjba, Mina, O Ting Indida, Sioux Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians and Dodeben Dogwis. The question I have, and I guess it may lead to others, is in regards to voiding this election, this past special election. And I was wondering if that could be explained to me. I don't know if you're going to hash it out later when the resolution comes up, but can anyone explain that, please?
Yeah, when we get to that resolution, there'd be board discussion where the board will debate amongst themselves, and then board members will list their justification for voting yes or no on that.
So what is it exactly you're saying when you're accusing the election committee of wrongdoing?
Are you asking me personally?
Whoever, anyone that would like to answer.
Well, like I said, we usually don't direct these to the specific board members, and they'll be able to list their justification for why they're voting a certain way when it comes down to that resolution.
So there is no explanation then?
They'll each give it, I'm sure. Yeah, there'll be a list. Everyone will put their hand up to speak, and then they'll speak about why they support or don't support that resolution.
Okay. I hope that you all understand what it is you're saying, and to me, you're accusing them of wrongdoing. And they volunteer. You know, they volunteer their time for this tribe because they're members of it. And to accuse or imply anything is an insult to them and the service that they've provided for this tribe, their tribe. And so I just hope and understand that you all realize that. I'm sure you all know that Carol Monty is my sister. I don't know how many years she has put in on the election committee. Many, many. She's also close to 40 years working for our tribe. And it is very offensive to me to have implications or innuendo or anything that say she has done wrong. She is one of the most honest people you will ever meet. Also, when we begin meetings in this way, with Lori offering that song and prayers, understand that you need to speak truth. Understand that if you don't, you call upon Spirit to come and help, to guide. It's your choice. Please speak the truth. So no comments?
This traditionally isn't a back and forth, Cecil. It gives you an opportunity to speak your mind about whatever's on the agenda tonight. And if there's specific questions, we have an employee in the back, Michelle Moore, who gets answers and reaches out to tribal members about that. But, well, you guys. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, Cecil?
No.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, we can have Joanne Carr. You can go ahead, Joanne.
So, my brother is a hard act to follow, and I'm going to speak with truth. So I was here this afternoon. I know the procedure has changed somewhat. When I started coming back to meetings in January, the membership was able to raise their hand during the meeting to ask about the resolutions. And then then you changed it that you could ask questions during the workshop. So today I came specifically for the workshop to ask my questions, and I was told I couldn't ask my questions, that I only had the 5 minutes. So I am going to ask questions, and I guess I'm not going to get them answered. So Rob, if you wanted this election voided, you should have done it in January. But there was
Joanne,
no call,
Joanne,
there
we
was
can't
no
direct
call.
anything to specific board members.
That's, Rob's the one who said it, so that's why I said his
I know.
name.
I know.
So that is a, it should have been called in January before any of us spent any money. There's 3 of us who spent money. And those in Unit 1 know how much money it takes for mailings. But that's not it. That's not it. Outsourcing mailing of the ballots. This board decided to outsource that. So that was your choice. When you outsourced it and then the ballots came out early, then you guys want to blame staff. Then let's talk, yes, my sister was found in violation. And I'll speak to Mr. LaPlante.
Joanne, we can address it towards specific board members. You sat at this table for a long time. You know the
He's-
rules.
He's the one who brought it out.
I know it. I know it.
You wouldn't let me ask my questions during the workshop when these people were not here.
Because we
So
don't do that during workshops. You know
he-
that.
I know, I don't know what your rules are.
You guys stop, please, stop.
Okay, so then let's go on to transparency. So I didn't have any violation codes. I didn't violate nothing. I did what I was supposed to do. I followed the rules. I followed the rules. I didn't trash anyone. That's the way my family is. They don't trash anybody. They're honest. So we want to talk about code violations. There are people up here who have violated code and continue to violate code. So what are we going to do about that? Are we removing you? Are we removing you, Kim Hampton?
Joanne,
Because you violated code.
Joanne, that's enough, please.
So, and then you continue to break the law. Betty said it at the May 5th hearing. We don't break the law. If you break the law, then there's, you have to pay the crime or whatever you said, Betty. Well, we're gonna build on that
Call for
case.
order in
We're
here.
gonna build on
Call it
that
for order.
case.
Joanne, you can't direct it towards specific board members, please.
Not when they call me out, yes. Sorry, this is my only opportunity to do that. My only opportunity. I don't have a unit report that names names. Everyone names names in unit reports. I don't have that opportunity. The membership doesn't have that opportunity to name names, except right here, Austin.
I know
This
that,
is
I realize that,
only
but you were also a
place-
board secretary for a long time and you know the rules that are
I
associated with
didn't say I
membership
agreed
concerns.
with the rules. I couldn't change the rules. That was
Objection.
you
Can you get
guys.
law enforcement here?
Betty,
Joanne,
do I
Joanne,
really,
Joanne.
Betty?
Joanne,
Come on.
Joanne,
You know it's wrong.
Joanne,
I'm
that's enough.
praying for you all.
Thank you.
All right, next up can be Jackie Mitten. Jackie, are you online? Okay, we can skip Jackie and we'll come back to her then. Missing anybody?
Austin, this is
Yes.
Lana.
Yeah.
Can I just interject for 1 second?
Yeah, as long as it's really quick.
It is real quick.
Okay.
I just want the membership to know that I'm in Florida for my stepson's graduation, and that Jackie just messaged me and said that she could not get in on Zoom, and I would like to be recorded as present. I wasn't able to get into Zoom until after the roll call too. So
Okay. Yeah, you're counted as present. We're not seeing Jackie in the waiting room though, so if you
yeah,
can
she
reach
couldn't.
out to her.
Yes, I'll reach out to her and tell her to try again.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Diane Pavlot, you're online. You can go ahead. You're muted, Diane.
Okay, hi. Sorry about that. I sent in a request to address the board in opposition and request to remove the chairman's handpicked appellate court judge. And I'm sorry I didn't name you, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we can't
And it
name.
was approved and appointed by board resolution. And I just wanted to point out that, you know, to me, that looks like a conflict of interest. You know, board members should not be able to pass formal procedures to ensure that a hand-picked appellate court judge is appointed. That said, you know, as such, and I understand I won't get an answer, but, you know, why did those board members vote to approve the appointment? Vote to do so outside of formal procedures? Specifically, what justified their decision not to follow proper procedures? Now, I know that you won't answer that, but the third thing is why
Could
is
you
there
tell me what, just to interrupt so I understand your question more clearly, what procedure wasn't followed?
tribal code, I believe it's 82, under the appointment of tribal judges? And then, you know, why is there a need for a reserve appellate judge handpicked by the chairman? Or, I'm sorry, by anyone? I'm just wondering, to me, it just looks so suspect. And I don't think tribal members actually realize that when a board member handpicks an appellate judge that did not pass the formal procedures established by tribal code, and then all of a sudden, okay, so he didn't get selected. So now any board member can bring up somebody who wasn't selected and say, I think I'm going to put him in here anyway. So I want to use up my time. I didn't plan on doing that because I thought I would get an answer, but I'm not going to get an answer. So, you know, I'm watching these board meetings with the new tribal board, and they're doing things that's never been done before. They're doing things that is in direct violation of established tribal code. And it doesn't look right. It doesn't look good. And, you know, people want to do petitions to remove board members. That's costly. Now you're costing your constituents money because they don't agree with what you're doing outside of formal procedures. And so, I mean, I don't know what more I can say to get my point through. And the other thing is, you know, don't disrespect people who come here to speak to you. They're elders, and anybody who I've seen that stood up to speak, they're elders. Show some respect. You know, you're elected officials to serve the people who come to you. And that's all I want to say. I know I won't get answers, but I really would like to know specifically, why would anybody on that board approve something that did not follow tribal code? And
Okay. I appreciate it, Diane. So your time's up and I wouldn't mind answering this. So we did review code and there's nothing that I found that violates it. So the way that these openings happen is we post that we're looking for judges. So our appellate court is comprised of lay judges and attorneys. So we have an interview panel, they interview people, and then a board member or a collection of board members submit a resolution, and then the board votes on it. It's quite simple. So to answer a sub question, why we have reserve judges, well, because sometimes judges can't make hearings, sometimes there's conflicts of interest, so we just have them on standby in case they're needed. So the individual that you referenced is a Sioux Tribe member. He works for the Environmental Protection Agency. He resides in Washington, D.C., has a great job, not doing it for the measly $200 a month, I believe, that tribal members get. He's not going to hear cases unless, one of the sitting judges can't hear it for whatever reason. And he's a guy that wants to serve, and he's a Sioux Tribe member. So I see no issue with it, but I appreciate your question. Thank you. Okay. Does anyone else have a membership concern?
Yep, I do.
Okay. Hey, Michelle, can you grab that from Janet, please?
It's very vague. It's kind of a long thing, so I'm not going to write it all out.
You can come on up, Janet.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank my fellow community members for being here tonight, because it's time everybody starts showing up. Okay? I have a problem with some resolutions that you have tonight. The court has not even rendered a decision, and yet here we are going before the court. That's shameful. That is absolutely shameful and disgraceful. Y'all know better than that. It's in the court's hands. Let the court handle it. Hands off. We elected Joanne Carr as a community. We are patiently waiting for her to be appointed. Patiently. Please be respectful to Unit 1. That is not hard to do. It is not. Just be patient. Let the court do its decision. Please. And the other one I have a problem with is the add-on. Do not disgrace any volunteer of this tribe. Please do not do that. That woman has dedicated herself to this community. I have the utmost respect for the people behind me. You should do the same, because they've been there for many of you through the years. Many of you. How dare you? How dare you do that? You know better. Follow your teachings, please.
Thank you, Janet. So someone with an iPhone came in. Jackie, is that you? Is Jackie Minton here online?
This is Lana again. She said she couldn't get on for whatever reason. I'm not sure of the reason.
Okay, we'll just have to skip her then. Okay, Robin, do you want to come up?
Anin, Makade Anakwat Indigenous Cause, Makwa and Dodam, Bawatine and Donjaba. Hello, Black Cloud Woman, Bear Clan from here. You can also refer to me as Robin. So I wanted to talk about the Okay.
You probably just have to speak into it more
Apologies.
directly. There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm pretty quiet usually. So I wanted to talk about the battery factory that's being built in Grand Rapids. Well, actually Big Rapids, near Grand Rapids on the Menominee River. I have talked to various tribal members reaching out, very concerned about this. And I understand there's not very much that the tribe can probably do. clearly we have other issues, pressing issues. However, I think I recall a lot of, especially the new tribal board members, wanting to incorporate at-large members in any way possible. At one point in time, we put forth a resolution that we opposed the ferrochrome processing plant that was going to be built on, the St. Mary's River across the way, right next to the steel mill plant. And I think this would show a good show of solidarity to our tribal members living in Grand Rapids area, if we at least announce that we opposed it. And I would like to remind the board too, at one point in time for the fight of Line 5, we were the first. And with that came other tribes. We literally started a movement. So never underestimate your power and what we can do for our tribal members. And just doing that, I think would show them that they're not alone, and that you guys care. And I apologize, I'm really afraid of like public speaking, so I'm like shaking up here. But if you have any questions or anything, please reach out to me. I can provide a lot more detail on this matter. But I really hope you guys look into this and think about putting forth a resolution. It wouldn't take that long to write. I would help or do anything possible. Chimigwach.
Okay, thanks, Robin. Let's work on that. Appreciate it. Jackie, are you in? Jackie, can you hear me?
She's saying she can't get in, that it's a bad ID.
Hey, Brenda, if you fill out that form, we can call on you. Can you hear me, Brenda?
Yes, I can. I can't type though. It doesn't let me type and respond to the for that.
Okay, go ahead. It's fine.
Oh, is it fine? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bonjour, Wabaxi Indijnakas, Makododam, Skush. My name is Brenda Kennard. I'm from the Escanaba area, Unit 4. There's a couple of things I want to make comment on. And the first thing I want to do is share a story. My daughter Lacey visited along with her co-workers at NAPS, the National Boarding School in Minneapolis. They just spent 2 weeks out in the Tulalip tribe with the Tulalip tribe, which is her boss's tribe. And she called me one night and she said, she was crying. And she said, as she witnessed the community that they have out there, that the children were raised with their songs, they know their songs, they know their dances, they got the big drums, and their culture is thriving out there. She said, Mom, it makes me so sad because that's not, we're never going to get there as a tribe because of the attitudes and the manipulations of our teachings. That's never going to work, Mom. And I said, I know. And because it boils down to our teachings and having the respect and the love. And I've heard how people are talking. It's sad to me. It breaks my heart. So I want to say part of building the trust and love and respect in our tribe means doing the right thing. And sometimes the right thing isn't popular. It isn't cost effective. It isn't popular. But I want to say that not just about anything currently that is happening but with past mistakes. When we know we've done wrong, we got to correct it and make it right. So I'm speaking to the election and what happened there. And it's something that when I campaigned on having an independent election committee that is going to oversee so much. Election committee things have always been an issue for our tribe. And to me, the simplest solution and because this is going to help bring us together. If we take an issue off the table that has been a constant thorn in our side. The solution is, another option would be to have an outside source oversee our elections and make sure that things are done exactly as our Constitution says. So tonight, I say that we got to fix that wrong, because there were things in that, and I know that's not a resolution tonight, is to correct the wrongs that have been done. Personal opinion and thought about that, that's separate. And I know because I ran too. I know running can be expensive, and I know that it takes so much time and effort. And I appreciate all those that are running to help make change, because that's where we're at, not just as a nation. Our survival depends on it. So today I ask that you all look in your heart. When you start doing the right thing, ain't always fun. It isn't. We know this, but it's the right thing to do. And that's when we start drawing in positive energy and start and being proud, because that's what we're supposed to do when we know we've done something that needs to be corrected. So I just want to say, I appreciate you all for the time and energy. I know that this is a very tough time for this whole board and whatever issues that you're dealing with, because it is a very trying time. And I pray that the people can try to find some community in that, instead of damning everybody with their judgments. That's not our teaching. That's not our way. So that's all I got to say. And miigwech, miigwech, miigwech. Okay,
Thanks,
I'm done.
Brenda.
You're welcome.
All right.
Miigwech.
Fred, would you like to come up? Thank you.
For those of you that don't know, I'm Fred Carr Jr. My mom is Joanne. I know some of you, I think you guys have probably heard about me and this and that. I'm a little bit flustered here, so please forgive me. I'm a tribal member. I'm a veteran. I'm a citizen. I'm a small business owner. I'm part of this tribe. My family is part of this tribe. And I want to call on all of you. And I don't want to attack. What I'd like to do is say that there's an opportunity here amongst you to unify the tribe, to get beyond the rhetoric, to get beyond what the division. Those that know me know that I will attest that I do not have all 7 teachings within me. I don't. They don't always apply to everybody, but what I do have is I got respect for what we need to be doing here, which is following the rules, the Constitution, the things that unify us. We don't have that right now. We have pettiness. We have rhetoric. We have a lot of pain. We've got to get beyond it. We've got to get beyond the selfishness. I'm not quite sure what the solution is, but I do know that that's what this board and that's what this forum, what this tribe needs the most is solutions, not problems. I've come to a number of these and I hear problems and complaints and I don't hear solutions. My mom, because I feel like I would still get slapped if I called her Joanne, is about solutions. Many of you know her for the years, the decades that she has spent serving, that our family has served this tribe. She has solutions. She's listened. She's listened to everybody. She's got these solutions. We've got solutions. Let her be a part of this. No, take that back. Doesn't need to be let. She earned it. She earned it. She didn't earn it. She didn't earn it by 1 vote. And she didn't have, and she won unit. She won it fair and square. Fair and square. I mean, what kind of people are we? That's what I address that to everybody. What kind of people are we? Do we think that if this happens again, if we had to do another special election, and she would not win again? Does she win by 1 or 2? No, she's going to win again and again and again. She's part of the solution. She's not against any of you here. She's for all of us, just like you guys are for all of us. So I sit here passionate, frustrated, but wanting to get beyond my own frustration to implore you to get beyond whatever frustration it is so that we can move on, because we've got big things to tackle. Our sovereignty is at risk. I do a lot of traveling. I work for the government. Our sovereignty is 100% at risk. We've got problems with our kids. We've got economic issues that are not going away. We've got big problems, which means we need big people to stand up with big solutions. And I want to leave you on this note, and I appreciate the time. And I'm not pointing to, I'll point to myself. Every single day, there's not a day that goes by that character does not matter. It's how we're judged. It's how we'll be judged when we're not sitting in any of these chairs. It's how we'll be judged when we're laying down and our eyes aren't open. And who's there? Who's there to light the fires? Who's there to stand by the fires? Who's there to pass on the stories? That's the character. And I promise you this, and I never want to see it. There'll be lines of people. Beyond when that time comes for, I'm not going to say it. I don't want to wish that. I don't need more tobacco. But I will. But that's what we're talking about. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. Lori, do you want to come up? Lori? Yeah, it's you.
So, two things. Where I work, some of the things I notice that we run into, and I can not only address all of you, but I can address everybody behind me, correct? Community is really important in everything we do and all of our choices, no matter what. Community is first. And that's being involved in person, helping out your fellow people. Something that keeps coming up is our planning systems. And so in front of everybody here, I thought it would be a really good idea, an opportunity to kind of like respread that seed in everybody's mind to identify in all of our communities, our 7 county service areas, all the units, our planning systems again, and work with that with our children all the way up into our elders, and identify somebody in each clan that can come and stand as that leader in that clan to come together like it used to be a long time ago in our governing system. Also, I think that's really important because it brings an aspect to our people where everything is fair and even and well thought out. The other part, what was my other part?
Identifying fire keepers and
you.
funeral conductors in all areas.
Yes, that's something else I'm noticing that's really needed. You know, I'm from this tribe, but I do live out in Bay Mills where my husband's a Bay Mills member. And what we really struggle with is we all enjoy having the opportunity to put our loved ones to rest in a traditional way. And that takes a lot of work. And so speaking to the membership and our leadership, to somehow all of us come together to work out and identify those individuals who do light fires and have lists in our communities, and also gather to teach those ones that want to be able to do that, because we tend to use the same people over and over, and that's a taxing job. So our young men to step forward, those ones that already have that, and to come together and make a list so we have that identified to make it easier on the families and the communities that do help out in that traditional manner. And that's even cooks, that's everything. So I just wanted to put that out there because this is something that keeps coming up in our area, that we're really low on the help and we tend to use the same people over and over. So spread the wealth and the knowledge. I think that's just something I wanted to say.
Thank you, Lori.
Make it.
All right, Jackie, are you on there?
Yes, I am.
You can go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Bonjour, Jackie Minton, Addition Cos, Babatin and Donjaba, Mang and Dorum. I'm gonna question against any word from on Indian Energy. Are they going to form the committee they promised? And are you the ones that agreed to this, going to hold them accountable to form that committee? And are they making any money, or do they have any plans to pay us back any money?
Yeah, so about that committee, that was never a requirement. That was just a recommendation by, Henry at Indian Energy. That way there'd be a smaller body other than the board of directors to respond to whatever needs he might have. So it was never a requirement or anything like that. It was just something that he suggested. Regarding whether or not they're making any money, Henry mentioned to me later on this summer, mid-July, we should expect our first dividend. So I marked it in my calendar to hit him up.
Okay. And then have we formed a utilities commission or committee?
No, Isaac has that for an
I
idea,
get
but
to-
it hasn't been on a resolution or anything like that.
Okay, so we don't know when it's gonna be formed?
Or if it will pass, yeah.
Okay, so did they plan on letting tribal members be a part of this?
Well, again, there's no committee actually formed yet. It's just ideas at this point.
Okay, so is there any way that we can have input on it when it is being discussed?
Yeah. If it eventually becomes a resolution, you could come here and you could speak for 5 minutes on it, or you can get a hold of whoever sponsors the resolution directly. That could be a mechanism for you to reach out to them.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. All right, so we have some people online. We have Nathan, Kelly Hattinger, then Lori Jump. So go ahead, Nathan.
Honey, bonjour. Giza Suanen and Dizakas Chichak Dodan Bautin Donjaba. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak. I wanted to mention that what a previous tribal citizen said regarding doing the right thing, saying doing the right thing is sometimes hard to do. Well, we do the right thing when we follow our tribal law and codes. And that's been the problem. It's not our personal opinion. It's following those tribal laws and code. And that is the problem that many of us, I would hope many of us that are sitting in the audience right now that I see here, have that issue. That is what is going on. And this new board is not doing this. All I've seen is them stacking the deck in their favor. Witch hunts. They found nothing on Hoffman. That hasn't even been addressed. No apology has even been issued. Disrespect towards elders, including some of their own senior board members. And pretty much everything that I heard in their elections last year about how the old board was corrupt and we were going to change things, I've seen you guys do 3 times as worse. I've seen a lot of boards go through here.
Hey,
Never
Nathan.
seen a board
Nathan.
this corrupt.
Nathan. So on the membership participation form, there's a section that you sign that says you won't attack. So.
Okay, I'm not
that
attacking
out.
anyone. I'm not doing it personally. I'm mentioning as a whole, the board as a whole. I'm not mentioning specific names. Joanne said, and she made a good point, we only have this moment to speak. You've cut off our chat on Zoom. We can't even say anything there. And every board meeting, it becomes more restricted. We can't do this. We can't say that. So This is our only opportunity, Austin. I hope you understand that.
It's the same 5 minutes that's always been there, Nathan. I don't understand how you can say it's
Okay,
become more
well,
restrictive.
I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just pointing out that you've made things more restrictive.
No, that's not true, Nathan.
We can't chat. We can't chat. We can't say anything on Zoom. We can't do anything. Anyways, let me finish. I hope that doesn't count against my 5 minutes. You interrupted me. You change things that make our voices as tribal citizens more restricted.
Nathan, you're also not supposed to direct it to a specific board member.
I'm not.
You've said Austin several times.
Okay, I was responding to you when we were talking. Okay, so let me go on, please. Recently, I reached out to a board member who I will not mention their name, and I said to them regarding what's happening with the Joanne not being placed in her position that she rightfully won by the will of the people. I will have zero sympathy if any of you are charged and face punishment. Your ongoing corruption has been duly noted. And I also further went on to let them know that I felt they were ruining their career, because just because you're getting away with this within the tribe doesn't mean people on the outside
Nathan, you don't
aren't
need to
watching.
attack like that.
No one's attacking anyone. I'm not saying anyone specifically. This is my general opinion of the situation, and it applies to anyone who is going to violate the tribal laws by their vote tonight. We don't know who that is yet. So this board member then posted a picture of Jabba the Hutt and Beavis and Butthead in his rebuttal, in his response. And I told him that is extremely immature and unprofessional. And it is exactly this type of mentality that this new board has that is immature, attacking people, and you just even cutting people off when they're trying to speak and voice their opinion. Doesn't matter whether you agree with me or not. What matters is that I'm able to speak and voice my opinion, which I'm doing so now. So anyways, I hope that most of you or all of you support putting Joanne in. She is rightfully so. And as you could see from this group that's out here, if that doesn't happen, I'm sure it's going to lead to other investigations that are going to come from groups and entities outside of this tribe. Chimigwich.
Thanks, Nathan. Kelly Hattinger, you can go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I think everybody on the board needs to take a hard look at themselves, because I was on the last election and I had to resign because I was being threatened by phone calls and dead birds put on my porch. And yeah, it just, I only volunteered and drove 2 hours to volunteer my time to get involved in the tribe. You people don't want involvement in the tribe. You just want to run it the way you want to run it. You all need to take a look in the mirror, because every single one of you have election fractions. Most of you. Okay, maybe not every one of you. And I'm not going to say names, Austin, but we all know I know.
Kelly.
And you know what? This is a fact, because I have studied this election code and the everything. Because when I joined that board, I studied it in and out. And guess what? The resolution on the agenda tonight interferes with the appellate court. And guess what? You're interfering with the election process. Now, you know what? Doing right is right. And we, some on the board appealed their, fines and stuff that we gave them. They have that right. You're taking our citizens' rights away by giving us 5 minutes. And half the time I get on Zoom and I get kicked off. And you know what? As a Unit 4 member, I might not have been able to vote for Joanne, but guess what? A lot of our unit supports Joanne wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Okay. Are you finished, Kelly?
Yes, I have
Okay.
lots more to say, but I'm going to do it in closed session with you guys.
Okay. Lori, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to talk a little bit about the election committee. I sat on the committee for years. In fact, I was even the committee chairperson at one point. And I want to talk about the devastation of the committee. Everybody knows that the last couple of elections have been pretty brutal, right? You know, the committee is 100% staffed by volunteers. You know, and as a result of the last couple of elections and the non-action for their request for a special prosecutor to deal with violations, many of those committee members have stepped down. I have no idea, honestly, who is even left on the committee, but I know that that committee has got to be struggling, not only for members, but even for volunteers. You know, the special election that my sister won fair and square, by the way, there were only 2 volunteers there to help open ballots, to help do anything. The committee chairperson is gone. The institutional knowledge of how our elections have been run since the beginning of this tribe is gone. And we are complaining about the actions of the committees, right? You know what? As a result, you know, the board made the decision. It was the board made the decision to outsource the mailing of the ballots. And an error occurred. I can say this, never in all the years of the election committee handling that process has there been an error of this sort. That is the result of outsourcing our elections. That isn't the fault of the election committee. And honestly, it isn't the fault of the board either, right? It was an error. But I do think it's a sign that, you know, the people best suited to run our elections is the election committee with the full support of the board that appointed them. We don't need board members attacking volunteers. This was not their fault. I think that you have an obligation to follow the process, let it conclude, and support our committee. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, we talk about all this outsourcing and let's fix all the mistakes and all of that business. You know, at the end of the day, operating and conducting our own elections is a sign of sovereignty. This is our job as a tribal nation. We are a nation. Let's not outsource one of the most important duties that we have as a nation to ensure that our elections are free from corruption. And you know what? That involves taking seriously the requests of the election committee when they ask for a special prosecutor, which people on this board have denied. I hope you take the words of the tribal members that spoke before me to heart. I hope you listen with your hearts and not your head, not from a place of greed. Listen from a place of your hearts. Y'all know what's right. Now all you got to do is take the right action. Thank you.
Bill, go ahead.
I would like to address all the comments that were made about the election committee, Joanne Carr, and this whole election. It's not about Joanne Carr. It's never been about Joanne Carr with me. I don't know her. I don't know if she's a good person, bad person, or in between person. What I do know as an appellant in this case, and the discovery after the court had begun on this, that the panel justices even had questions, especially about an 18-year-old board order for this election committee to promulgate policy and procedures to be then approved by the board 18 years ago. So is that 9 violations? Because according to the former John Wernett, general counsel of our tribe, when the board meets, motion, support, and pass of a resolution or a motion becomes our tribe's law. So it's about law. It's not about any of those people on the election committee. It's about the good faith in governance and the ability to rely on those volunteers to strictly adhere to the code, which I take as tribal law. I don't know why they're making this about Joanne. It's not about her. With me, it's about law and good governance. I yield.
Michelle, do we have any other forms? Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the next item, which are resolutions. And we will start with transformational shelter plan.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the ACFS Transformational Shelter Plan to be administered by ACFS.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Tyler, support by Betty. Go ahead, Megan.
So we are requesting approval for the transformational program plan to be administered by Anishinaabe Community and Family Services. The purpose of this transformational shelter program is to provide trauma-informed, culturally relevant, culturally honoring sheltering services to Sioux Tribe households who are homeless or unsafely housed. They'll also be under 80% of the area median income. Our shelter guests will work with the shelter staff to develop individualized case plans, which may address physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health, the ability to increase income, either through benefits or employment, and access to permanent housing.
Board discussion, start with Darcy.
I was glanced through this when I got here on this plan. Do we have an 800 number that people can call to contact? What's going to be the contact information?
That hasn't been provided to us by charter yet. Right now, they can contact the main ACFS number, and then we can get them in touch with the shelter staff, or if it's a question, then I can answer.
Well, that might be for someone that lives around here, but what about the people that are out of the area?
They can call the 800 number for Anishinaabe.
Okay, so that's going to be advertised out there. The other question is, what about, what's the amount of, or the cost, I guess, for transportation per year? Because are you going to expect people to get to the shelter themselves, or are you going to pick people up? And is that going to be people that are just in the 7-county service area, or is that going to be people across the United States?
Well, we're going to use our established government vehicle for that, and we haven't made that decision as to whether or not we'd go outside the 7-county service area.
Well, even within the 7-county service area, you're going to use a government vehicle, but there's still cost to that. And then
Yes.
wages, because you're going to have to take an employee, he's going to have to go get them. So that hasn't been factored in as far as what cost could be for transportation.
So basically what we would do is access the current staff that we have, the direct service staff. So say it's the Manistee area, Viola is our direct service worker over there, and we would have her transport, say if there was a homeless member in that area, to the homeless shelter here. And yes, we did include transportation costs in the budget.
So it's just an add-on to other people's duties out to the outlying area. It's all other duties as assigned.
Well,
Because I mean, direct services, sometimes they're busy too, so they may not have the time. So what's going to happen? They just have to drop an emergency needs to.
Well, no, I can speak to the stats over in that area, and the stats are very low, and Viola would definitely have the time to be able to transport a member over here.
Well, you have other staff over on the west end also.
Pardon?
You have other staff on the west end also.
Viola is the only direct service worker, and yes, she would have the ability within her schedule to transport a homeless member over to Sault Ste. Marie.
Thank you.
Tyler.
We're all new to this. This is new to them, and it was dropped in their laps, and I think they've been doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And however this is going to look, we know that this is going to change as we develop experience with this. So I fully support you in anything you need to do. And if I need to drive somebody here from Unit 5 or somewhere that I'm at, then I'll do that to help out. But I think right now, it's best to get this in place and operational to see what is best practice for us and how this should look. So I support what you submitted to us, and I support your amendments in the future because we know that there are going to be many, because this is a brand new program. So miigwech for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Miigwech. Betty.
I wholeheartedly support this. This is really, really something new, brand new. First one in the whole United States. Proud of you guys for putting this together. What's sad and unfortunate is some of the tribal board of directors did not support this. And so I just want to say congratulations. And for somebody not supporting something like this in their units, unbelievable.
Anyone else? Darcy.
To go from 220,000 to about $4 million that we got invested in this project, really, Betty. Wait till you start shutting things down. People realize.
Anyone else? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you so
Thank
much. The next resolution is approving governmental year-end reconciliation policy.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the governmental year-end reconciliation policy incorporated herein by reference. Be it further resolved that the terms of this resolution hereby control, supersede, and rescind any past resolution that is contrary to the action of the Board of Directors set forth in this resolution. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the tribal chairman or designee to execute any and all documents as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Tyler,
Support.
support by Betty. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Claire. I work in the budget department. This policy is coming forward just to have clear direction on the year-end reconciliations and an allocation of tribal support above a budgeted amount. And this is just for the board approving the policy.
Okay, thank you. Any board discussion on this one? Go ahead.
I talked to Jennifer earlier because the policy wasn't attached. So, because I asked her what we were voting on, there was a one page that didn't get attached to this because this doesn't say anything. This just that we're approving reconciliation policy, but there's no policy. And this is something, Jennifer, that we've done in the years past.
The year-end recs, we've had a policy that was approved, it was originally approved prior to my time that the chairman would sign off on. And right now, we currently bring you every year a list of all cost centers, how they spent, and then if they require tribal support, additional tribal support than what you approved through a budget, we come back with year-end reconciliations. This is putting it into more of a formal approval.
So it doesn't need to come back then for reconciliation. This will
It
just
would still
happen.
come back for reconciliation, like you would still approve it, so you'd know who would, anybody that's over or under spending.
But we don't need to vote on it.
You
Once
would
this is-
still.
Okay, so
This is just approving it, so it's a policy in place that would still, because right now there's not, we don't really have a thing in place for year ends.
correct, yeah, like I said, there's nothing here. That's why I wondered what the policy was. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, roll call vote.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
No.
Tyler,
Yes.
Isaac, Sean, Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Betty.
Yes.
Motion carries. The next resolution is approving governmental budget policy.
Now therefore be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the governmental budget policy incorporated herein by reference. Be it further resolved that the terms of this resolution hereby control, supersede, and rescind any past resolution that is contrary to the action of the Board of Directors set forth in this resolution. Be it further resolved that the Budget Department will provide a report to the Board of Directors of all administrative budget modifications the month after the budget modification is approved. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the tribal chairman or designee to execute any and all documents as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Betty. Support. Support by Tyler. Go ahead, Jen.
This resolution is for the governmental budget policy. It clears up, that there's no change to what was originally approved. It makes it's a little easier to read. It does allow for administrative mods that don't impact tribal support and like an increase or anything like that. Anything that's not inside HR policies would still come back. Like any job title changes, that's not changing anything. It just would allow some leeway with grants that could be done administratively. And again, you would get a list of them the following month of anything that we're doing administratively. So if you had questions on it. But this is just clearing up a policy. I think it was originally approved in 2007.
Okay. Any board discussion on this one? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
Tyler,
Yes.
Isaac, Darcy,
No.
Michael,
Yes.
Lana,
No.
Betty,
Yes.
Sean, Kim Hampton,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Rob.
Yes. Motion carries. The next resolution is approving enterprise budget policy.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the enterprise budget policy incorporated herein by reference. Be it further resolved that the terms of this resolution hereby control, supersede, and rescind any past resolution that is contrary to the action of the Board of Directors set forth in this resolution. Be it further resolved that the Budget Department will provide a report to the Board of Directors of all administrative budget modifications the month after the budget modification is approved. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the tribal chairman or designee to execute any and all documents as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Tyler, support by Betty. Go ahead, Jen.
This policy in front of you is the enterprise policy, and it's the exact same as the governmental, but it does not include information regarding grants because the enterprises does not receive grants.
Thank you. Any board discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Betty,
Yes.
Sean, Darcy, Rob,
Yes.
Lana,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
No. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
The next resolution is authorization to negotiate and purchase property. Thanks, Jen.
Resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians authorizes the Sioux Tribe Inc. CEO or his designee to negotiate and enter into an agreement to purchase the following parcel using the funds identified by the CFO and terms approved by the Board of Directors. Property located in the city of Sault Ste. Marie, Chippewa County, Michigan, tax parcel ID 013-158-010-00. Be it further resolved, the tribal CFO is authorized to prepare the necessary internal budget modifications required to purchase the property. Be it finally resolved upon successful completion of those negotiations, the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves its chairman, Austin Lowe's, and its treasurer, Isaac McKechnie, or their designee to negotiate and execute any documents necessary to effectuate the purchase of the parcels of land using funds identified by the CFO.
Motion.
Motion by
Support.
Tyler, support by Betty. Brenda, could you speak on this?
Yes, the resolution pretty much spells this out, but this is 10 acres located on Sugar Island that is under contract contingent upon the board's approval of the resolution tonight.
Okay. Any discussion from the board? Bridget?
I guess, how do things get under contract without us even knowing about it? I mean, if I wanted to buy a piece of property, I can't just go to a realtor or go to you, Brenda, and strike a deal and then bring it to the board. I mean, how do we get under contract and not know about it?
There are like 4 different ways that in the past that requests come to Joel or myself to negotiate things. That is why we always put that it is contingent upon the board's approval. Sometimes real estate comes in fast and you want to get an offer and get it under contract. The buyer fully knows that this is contingent upon the board's approval.
Is anybody on this board related to the person selling this property? Okay.
Go ahead.
This property is not adjacent to anything we own. It's not gonna go into trust. We're gonna have to pay taxes on it until it goes into trust. I've had a piece of property in Escanaba that's contiguous that I've been trying to get in trust for the last 4 years. And like I just said earlier to the membership, we are gonna be in a hurt and we keep spending this money that we don't have. In a year or two, where are we gonna be? And we can't even afford the taxes for the place. Thank you.
Isaac?
Hey, since this is under contract, this property is 10 acres next to Woolwalk Cemetery, which everybody knows that it's contiguous. So yes, we really need to purchase this property. And I'm the one that bring it forward just because you never know. To the
Darcy, if you want to be
cemetery,
on the list, you
Darcy.
can.
We're working on that too, but well, why
Darcy, you're out of order. Please stop.
why would we not?
Darcy, if you want to speak, just raise your hand and get put on the list, please.
Hey, I'm not gonna sit here and debate with you, but I don't know why we wouldn't want to own the burial grounds of our tribal members. It just doesn't make sense why we would be so upset about that.
Darcy, you're out of order again. Please stop.
Calling
Darcy,
for order.
Darcy, stop. Anyone else? Okay, so let's vote. All those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, raise your hands if you oppose. Okay, we have Bridget, Darcy, anyone else? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries.
Good job, I.
The next resolution is adding all powwow grounds to cost center 8628.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the operational authority to manage any current and/or future powwow grounds located in the 5-unit service area to facilities management. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the tribal chairperson or his designee to execute any and all documents, including ancillary or supplemental documents or forms that do not change the substantive terms of the agreements and project, as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Support. Motion by Darcy, support by Tyler. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, so we were asked as facilities to assume control of all of the powwow grounds that the tribe currently owns, because before, no one was there to manage or upkeep on them, or to perform upkeep on them. So this resolution allows us to assume responsibility of them and provide any upgrades and/or needs that the grounds are going to need in the future.
Any board discussion? All right, then we'll vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The next resolution is award contracts to Wayne's Electrical and GT Mobile Communication.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby approves the fiscal year 2023 budget modification to transformational housing shelter to increase other revenue monies of $11,500 in use of buildings fund balance monies of $39,939.46. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the fiscal year 2023 governmental capital expenditure budget for an increase in the use of buildings fund balance monies of $115,781.50. Be it further resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves to award the contract to Wayne's Electrical Services to install 66 new smoke detectors at the emergency housing shelter. Be it further resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves to award the contract to Grand Traverse Mobile Communications Incorporated to install a DSX peer access system at the transformational housing shelter. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the tribal chairman or his designee, facilities and operations manager, to execute any and all documents, including ancillary or supplemental documents or forms that do not change the substantive terms of the agreements and project as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Tyler. Looking for a second. Going once, going twice.
Second.
All right, second by Betty. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, so the tribe purchased this property as a shelter. It was a hotel before, and per local and state and federal ordinances, we are required to have smoke detectors in all livable spaces in the event that we use it as a shelter. So we have to install 66 smoke detectors, one in each of the living rooms and one in the restrooms of all of the units. And then the door security system was requested to provide a safe and secure living during the stay at the shelter. And it will also allow the program manager easier access control in the event someone loses a key fob, or in the event that somebody is removed from the property, they can immediately shut the access off to the property.
Any discussion from the board? All right, we'll vote then. All those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Mike and Darcy and Darcy, Isaac, and Mike are opposed. Okay. Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. Motion carries. Thanks, Andrew. The next resolution is FY 2023 Governmental CapEx Sioux Tribe Construction.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the fiscal year 2023 governmental capital expenditure budget for Sioux Tribe construction for $25,750 with the use of construction fund balance monies.
Motion by Bridget. Support by Isaac. Go ahead, Billy.
Basically, I'm asking, sorry. Basically, what I'm asking for is to spend another $25,000 on top of a $158,750 grant we got through environmental. And like I said, I give kudos to them. Robin Bouchard did a lot of work on this for us. Basically, what happened is we got the grant. We got a budget put together, sent it to Robin. She had it approved for the grant funding. We got it back. COVID hit, everything went up, and basically we were negotiated down from, they're about $60,000 over our starting price. And in the end, we got it down to where I need another $25,750 to cover the additional cost. And that'll replace our tandem dump truck, 10-yard dump truck. We have replacing a 2005 with a brand new one.
Any discussion from the board? And then we'll vote. All those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thanks, Billy.
Thank you very much, everybody.
The next resolution is grants mobilization.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the fiscal year 2023 budget modification to grants mobilization for an increase in tribal support monies of $40,000 and an increase in other revenue monies of $40,000.
Motion.
Motion by Tyler. Support by Betty. Go ahead, Larry.
The Department of Energy has released a funding opportunity announcement for the Grid Resiliency Innovation Program. The budget will be 80,000, 40,000 matched by Cloverland Electric, 40,000 from tribal support. The funds will be used to pay a consultant to develop our application, which is a very technical application. At this time, the project has, when I wrote this, it was scoped at 30 million. It's now up to 38 million, with Cloverland pitching in 50% on the match. We will have, let's see, we got exact numbers already. We are, so the project seeks to lower tribal members' cost of electricity from Cloverland, decrease the frequency and duration of power outages. It's a resiliency grant, increase the tribe's use of renewable solar energy.
Any board discussion? Tyler.
Yeah, so I appreciate this application. So if awarded, this would decrease Cloverland cost for tribal members utilizing it, correct?
Yeah, and so broadly, it will increase, it'll prevent increases for Cloverland's rate, potentially decrease.
And then what was the estimated income per year for this?
At the 34 million when it was scoped earlier, we were looking at the tribe share being 300,000 annual for 25 years for $7.5 million total benefit to the tribe.
Okay. So I just want to highlight that because if awarded, you know, I know the question keeps coming up, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for that? People like you are exactly how we're going to be paying for these services and moving forward into clean energy and sustainability with our electrical grid and new ventures for our economic development. So that's the answer right there. And we need more things like this coming to our table so we don't have to ask those questions anymore. So thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Isaac.
Hey, Larry, this is a little off topic, but with the tribal support, if we were writing for grants for many of those areas that we support with tribal funds, how much of the tribal support budget do you think you could decrease?
Could you rephrase that the question?
Tribal support monies that that the tribe gives to each department, how much do you think we can decrease by writing grants for each of those areas?
In general, I think it is a positive thing to write for, to increase the number of grants that we're writing. The number of grants.
Just hypothetically though, how much do you think you could?
Yeah, that always is going to just, I don't want to get into that hypothetical.
I know.
I'm just saying there would be a significant percentage.
You know that
of
we
things
can
could
offset
decrease.
the tribal support if we start applying for more grants.
Yeah,
And
there's
that's what we need to do to move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Darcy.
Larry, I missed your discussion earlier today. Now, they said 300,000 a year.
300,000 a year for 25 years is the projected, what everybody on our team was comfortable reporting at this time.
25 years, and it's going to be 7.4 million. We're getting back, but we're investing 15 million.
We're investing total 40,000 today plus the 10,000 we've already invested. So
Plus the grant dollars, 15 million. And then
Cloverland? Cloverland is investing that. Sioux Tribe is not investing that. We are doing only the 50,000.
50K total, Darcy.
No more.
And then it'll be our property that they'll build on. And in 25 years, what happens?
At 25, after 25 years. So essentially then we have some options, what we want to do with that property. We can either take that plant down. We could be doing things to invest in the life of that plant. We could be replacing things. We could be expanding on it. I would imagine as we go down this kind of this path of solar energy and all the additional grants that will be coming out in the future, that we would likely make additional investments in that property and potentially other properties. If we don't, then, we would have to decommission the plant.
And then, so we don't have anything in writing as far as, I know you said something about Cloverland could decrease people's bills. When there was an increase, our tribal members may not get an increase. That was what you said?
So that's for the general population, right?
Oh, so everybody gets it.
So yeah, I think there's an issue. There's a lot of moving pieces to kind of sum that up, but there's an existing kind of a deal they have with Wisconsin Power where they're currently purchasing their power, and essentially they have additional costs that are ballooning over time. This will kind of help mitigate those ballooning costs. It's one of several strategies that Cloverland, and Cloverland's going to be best to speak on that. Not me, but
Cloverland couldn't apply for the grant if it wasn't for the tribe, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
In addition, there's a whole lot of other grants that are coming out right now that Cloverland is going to be looking at. And it was like I think considered like infrastructure week. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff that will also be beneficial if they work with us. They'll get more benefit. So there's a really strong reason for partnership for this grant and for additional ones in the future. But those things we'd want to consider.
Anyone else from the board? All right, I'll ask a couple questions then, and then we'll move on to vote. So we already contributed $10,000 to this project, right, Larry?
That is correct.
So we need to invest an additional $40 million to complete the application.
40,000, yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
it, 40,000, right? So 50 total, 40 today. And you said we would generate $300,000 every year over 25 years, right?
That is the current projections, correct.
And this is a solar farm, clean, renewable energy.
Yes.
It produces more supply to the grid, so everyone's bills go down as well, just basic supply and demand. What's the likelihood that you think that will be awarded this in percentages?
Yeah, I would shoot for 90% just because we have that that level of our concept paper was already reviewed by the Department of Energy, and they already sent us back a favorable review for that.
So 90% likelihood to be awarded this grant will receive $300,000 every year for 25 years for an additional 40,000. I don't have a vote, but it seems pretty simple to me. We'll vote. Roll call.
Tyler,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Darcy,
No.
Michael,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Sean, Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much, Larry. Like
Thank
Tyler
you
was
so
saying,
much.
this is the kind of stuff that's going to get us over budget falls. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. The next resolution is HC ITC, Emergency Response to Suicide Prevention.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the fiscal year 2023 budget modification to ITC Emergency Response to Suicide Prevention for a decrease in other revenue ITC monies of $20,000. This budget modification reflects the actual award amount, no effect on tribal support.
Motion?
Motion by Betty. Support by Kim. Go ahead, Karen.
So the reason for this budget mod is because it's the end of the grant. It ends the end of this month, and we had a therapist that was paid through this grant, and the therapist left in October. So we had some extra money. So ITC is the funder, and they decided to take 20,000 back. So that's the whole reason for the budget mod. So it's ending anyway, and so we're just giving them 20,000 back.
Okay, thank you. Any board discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
Lana,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Darcy, Tyler,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sean, Rob,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next resolution is HC St. Marie Dental.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby approves the fiscal year 2023 budget modification to Health Center Sault Ste. Marie Dental for a change to the personnel page and a reallocation of expenses, no effect on tribal support.
Motion by Bridget,
Support.
support by who? Darcy? Okay, go ahead, Carrie.
Hello. Basically, the proposed modification will allow for the addition of 2 new dental assistant trainees. These positions are being requested to help with the flow of increased services and to allow for improved customer service for the patients being seen. Savings were found within the consulting and subcontracting, which will cover the increases in wages and fringe to add to these 2 positions. No effect on travel support.
Any board discussion? All right, hearing none. Let's vote. Roll call.
Rob,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Darcy. Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Motion carries. The next resolution is authorization to negotiate / make changes with MSHS on new tribal health clinic.
Therefore, resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians authorizes the Health Director to authorize any additional costs that will be necessary to make changes that would be above the agreed costs for replacements, enhancements, and to identify the funding source for these changes. Be it further resolved, the Health Director is authorized to prepare the necessary internal budget modifications that are required to move the construction phase without delay. Be it finally resolved, upon successful completion of those agreed changes, the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians hereby authorizes its chairman, Austin Lowe's, and its treasurer, Isaac McKechnie, or their designee, to negotiate and execute any documents necessary to effectuate these agreements.
Motion by Bridget, support by Darcy. Go ahead.
Good. Hello, Christine McPherson, Executive Director. I'm here to ask respectfully to allow this resolution to be passed so that we can move the project along. If this is for the Mackinac Straits Hospital System, and they are building us a $10 million tribal health clinic. And during the process with the architect, they ran into an issue with the landscaping, and it would have had our building be adjusted and reduced by 5 feet on one end. They came up with a solution to put a basement underneath that end of the building, and that would result in allowing them to move the mechanical and electrical systems also to the basement and give us extra storage space. This would also increase the size of availability of additional 100 feet upstairs that we have not allocated yet for usage, but all for $225,000. During this whole process with the architects, been a very thorough process. They have met with every department within the Tribal Health Center in St. Ignace, and we have recognized that we made a lot of changes with the space, and this will allow 3 more operatories for dental to be put there. There's also additional space that happened because of in the current space, we're not losing any space from where we are now to this new building. In fact, we're gaining space. And that really is because it's moved into operations, because we had a lot of space down there in waiting rooms and really space that wasn't being utilized. So this plan has been real thoughtful and to make it the best we can for the staff that's down there. Staff's been very pleased. Dr. Leo has been involved with the process all the way along the way, and certainly I can let him add that, but he's supportive of this. But these things need to be moved quickly now. We're going to move from architect now right into construction. So that is why I'm asking for this. So we're not having to wait for 2 weeks or 4 weeks to come back to make simple changes to improve the actual construction of this tribal health center.
And thanks, Christine. Any discussion from the board? Go ahead, Sean. You be next, Betty.
I would just like to say that this is a great project and acknowledge our executive director, all the hard work she's put into this. I attended one of the initial planning phases at Mackinac Straits Hospital. And the way they went and the way they proposed this and invited every one of our departments there to get their input was just a great process. And it went smoothly the couple hours I was there. And that board at the hospital really respects Christine and all the hard work she put into this. And I think it's a beautiful project. I can't wait for it to get started.
Betty.
I just want to say thanks, Christine. You're very knowledgeable about things like this. And also I want to add that building a basement is the cheapest part of your building. So it really, you're taking advantage of the space there by building that basement. I yield.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call vote.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton. Yes. Rob,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next resolution is urging an amendment to INA for purposes of the Jay Treaty.
Whereas the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians is organized pursuant to the Constitution of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians, and whereas the 1794 Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation, also known as Jay Treaty, delineated the United States-Canadian border, splitting many tribal communities living along the border in half. In order to reconcile this division, Article 3 preserved the right of Native Americans to pass freely across the border by land, inland, or water. And whereas in an attempt to further preserve this right, Congress implemented Article 3 of the Jay Treaty with the enactment of the 1952 Immigration and Nationality Act, INA. The INA reads, "Nothing in this subchapter shall be construed to affect the right of American Indians born in Canada to pass the borders of the United States, but such right shall extend only to persons who possess at least 50% of blood of the American Indian race. Whereas current law therefore authorizes border security agents to ask tribal members to prove they have at least 50% Indian blood quantum. And whereas reference to the blood quantum stems from termination era where lawmakers sought to eradicate tribes, and whereas realized the negative impacts of termination era derived policies, Congress since worked to restore the government to government relationship by promoting self-determination, self-governance, and subsequent rights such as the right of tribal governments to determine their own membership. And whereas regulations currently enforced continue to use outdated and inconsistent language with federal Indian law, creating unnecessary tension along the border between tribal members and border security agents. And whereas the tribe recognizes the right of tribes to determine their own requirements for members, and that the current language of the law is outdated and is inconsistent with current federal Indian law. Whereas the tribe finds that subjecting tribal members to language stemming from the termination era is offensive and creates unnecessary tension at the border between tribal members and border security agents. Whereas the tribe further finds that failing to recognize the right of tribal governments to determine their own membership when exercising treaty rights is a direct attack on tribal sovereignty and the principles of self-determination. Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians urges Congress to quickly pass a technical amendment to the INA that recognizes tribal citizenship identification cards rather than proving one's blood quantum for the purposes of utilizing Article 3 of the Jay Treaty, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be the policy of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians until it is withdrawn or modified by subsequent resolution. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes and approves the tribal chairman or designee to execute any and all documents as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms, conditions, and intent of this resolution.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Rob, support by Tyler. Any board discussion? All right, let's vote then. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries. The next resolution is establishing authority to direct election committee amending tribal code chapter 10 election ordinance.
Now therefore be resolved that the Tribal Code, Chapter 10, Election Ordinance is amended by adding the following new language: 10.126, Reservation of Authority. The Board of Directors reserves unto itself the ability to direct the election committee by resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Motion.
Motion by Rob,
Support.
support by Betty. Board discussion. Mike.
I think this is setting a very dangerous precedence. This is creating a roadmap of how not to honor the will of the people. This is very dangerous. I do not support it at all. Yield.
Darcy.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Mike says. Yeah, this shouldn't be happening. In the meantime, the election is still in process. The court case is open, and the board should not be having their hands in the election. 11 years I've been on this board, we have never done this. The old board was so bad, we have never did anything like this. Aaron, is this a recommendation from a legal for the board to do something like this at this time?
No, it is not my recommendation.
Thank you.
Bridget.
Well, I'll say what I said last time. Back in June of 2022, when the board had the June 20th workshop that you guys published. Yep. And it wasn't published in its entirety, but we were talking about all the code violations and there was talk about stopping the election. And we did have those conversations, and we were vilified for those, but here we are now. It's okay for somebody else to do it. And the codes that were broken are nothing like what we've already experienced.
Anyone else? Betty.
Now that you mention it.
Betty, hold on one second. I'm sorry, Lan, I didn't see your hand up. Go ahead, then Betty.
That said, I've been on a long time, and I think this is a very dangerous path. I do not support it whatsoever.
Betty.
Well, I recall, and Bridget just mentioned that back in May, it was May 5th, Austin and I were flying back from Alaska, and we didn't have access to the workshop. Well, when I got back, the next day I went to the admin building and watched the workshop prior to that day. And you talk about, and Fred Carr Jr. mentioned characters does matter. And he's right, character does matter. Because at that May 5th workshop, I'm talking about May 5th, when it actually happened. Who was that you yelled out? Collie? That May 5th was not pettiness. That workshop was violating tribal code all the way. I filed a complaint with the election committee. I filed a complaint with law enforcement. I filed a complaint with the prosecutor. It went nowhere. Our laws were violated in so many ways that day. Actually, the laws were violated so bad that they should have all been removed. And so I recall that, that, and I'm not picking on Joanne because I like Joanne. I, you know, she's been here 30 years. She's worked as a board secretary, but she was the one that suggested that they not even pick up the ballots at the post office. And I can't understand how that, I'm stating facts.
Said somebody's name. Austin, start controlling her. Oh, it's okay when it's your side, though, hey?
Order. So I just want to say that, you know, character does matter here. We just can't let laws be violated, and it happened at that May 5th meeting, and it needs to stop. I don't know why the election committee, I don't know why law enforcement or the prosecutor totally ignored those laws. And I have a problem when our laws are violated like that and they're totally ignored. I yield.
Darcy.
That was on the agenda for 2 workshops that you and Austin failed to show up to. I believe you were in Alaska for the second week that the tribe had to pay for your 2-week vacation.
We had fun.
I'll motion to conflict Betty out because she is involved in this court case. So motion to conflict her out on the vote.
There's a motion to conflict her out. Aaron, is there anything that prevents someone from being able to vote in our code? Okay. Majority? Okay, all right. Go ahead.
We have a vote,
All right,
please.
roll call. Yeah, so this is a roll call vote to conflict Betty out of voting on this resolution.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Tyler,
No.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
No.
Rob,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Betty.
Yes.
So that would be 8 yeses, 3 noes, so that conflicts Betty out. So you won't have a vote on this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so I don't have anyone else on the list. Does anyone else want to speak on this? Okay, roll call vote then.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Sean, Darcy,
No.
Rob,
Yes.
Lana,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Michael,
No.
Tyler,
Yes.
Bridget,
No.
Isaac,
Abstain.
So there were there was 4 yeses, 5 noes, 1 abstention, so motion fails. The next resolution is directing the election committee to void special advisory election.
First one killed them all. The first one didn't pass, they all died.
So just let it die as you like to support them.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians finds that these election code violations have spoiled the special election. Be it further resolved that pursuant to Tribal Code Chapter 10, Election Ordinance at Section 10.126, the Election Committee is directed to declare the ongoing special election to fill the vacant Unit 1 Director seat as void. Be it finally resolved that the Board of Directors directs the Election Committee to take any and all measures it seems appropriate to ensure that potential confusion amongst voters is addressed to the fullest extent possible.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion?
Point of inquiry.
Go ahead.
This mentions a section of the election code that does not exist because we just failed it. So I would say strike that this is mute.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll just roll call vote it then. Procedurally, how do you take care of it, Darcy? Fill me in. There's a motion and there's a second, right? No, just not mad at all. I'm not mad. You just don't know the rules. Explain how it does.
Look at her.
We have a resolution that was motioned, then second. Or you can just vote no instead of argue, right?
Support.
Okay, so you motioned to conflict Betty out. Is there a second? Okay, so a roll call on the conflict.
Lana,
No.
Can't suggest how to.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Abstain.
Darcy, Tyler,
Abstain.
Bridget,
Yes.
Isaac,
Abstain.
Sean,
No.
Rob,
Abstain.
Kimberly Hampton,
Abstain.
Okay, so there's 3 yeses, 2 nos, 5 abstentions. Can we roll call this now, Darcy? Pretty please.
Motion to table.
I already.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I said please. Okay, roll call vote.
this is Tyler. Who seconded it? Tyler,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Darcy, Michael,
Yes.
Lana,
Yep.
Sean, Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yeah.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Rob,
No.
Okay, motion carries the table. So we'll move on to the next resolution, which is rescinding resolution emergency powers to direct election committee.
Now therefore it be resolved that resolution number, the first one, is rescinded effective immediately.
All right, is there a motion and second? Okay. Resolution dies due to lack of support. So let's move on to the resolutions that we added. So the first one is approving bridge financing for Indian Energy sub-entity.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Directors authorizes the chairman to execute the attached documents in furtherance of the foregoing.
Is there a motion? Motion by Bridget,
Support.
support by Tyler. Any board discussion on this? Okay, we'll vote then. Roll call.
Bridget. Yes. Darcy. Tyler.
Yes.
Isaac. Sean. Michael.
Yes.
Kimberly Lee.
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton. Yes. Rob.
No.
Lana.
Yes.
Betty.
No.
Okay, 8 yeses, 3 noes, motion carries. So that will move us to the final resolution, which is proclamation in support of National Treatment Court Month.
Now therefore it be resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians declares that drug court month is hereby established during the month of May 2023.
Motion by Bridget. Support by, who's that? Isaac? Isaac, okay. Judge Favory, could you fill us in on this, please?
Sure. Jocelyn Fabry, Chief Judge of the Tribal Court. So the board actually passed a similar resolution a few years back, and then COVID hit, of course, trying to get things back to normal and recognize, our Guake Macan program is going on, I think it's 24th year this year. And so there've been a lot of participants that have gone through that program and a lot of staff from not just the criminal justice departments in our tribe, but also health and our treatment folks. And, when we did the TAP surveys a few years back, the community overwhelmingly identified our drug court program as one of our tribal community strengths and one of the things that really helps people heal and recognizes and supports people in recovery. So nationally, May is recognized as Drug Court Month. Michigan has recognized May as Drug Court Month. So we're asking Sioux Tribe to do the same.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board? Okay, without objection, let's approve this through unanimous consent. Hearing no objection, motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so that's all the resolutions that we have for tonight. Let's move on to new business, and we have committee appointments. So let's start with Elder Subcommittee appointments, Unit 2. I'd like to entertain a motion to appoint Arnold Frazier to a 4-year term expiring 2027. Motion by Bridget.
Second.
Support by Kim. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries. He's appointed. The next one would be to appoint Marilyn MacArthur, regular member, 4-year term expiring 2027. Is there a motion? Motion by Bridget, support by Isaac. Any discussion? And then we'll vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? That motion carries. And then we have Betty Smith, regular member, 4-year term expiring 2027. Motion by Isaac. Is there a second?
Support.
Second by Tyler. Any discussion? And then we'll vote. All those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion carries on her. And then the last appointment is for Unit 3. It's for Joseph Horn. He would move from an alternate to regular member, 4-year term expiring 2027. Is there a motion? Motion by Isaac.
Support.
Support by Tyler. Any discussion? Go ahead, Kim. Use the microphone, please.
I know that we had mentioned earlier, Holly, I guess some opposition to this. Is there other members that would like that seat, or does the seat need to be filled, I guess, at this?
Mr. Horn is currently serving a term that he was appointed by the Board of Directors 3 years ago. When one of the seats in the regular membership became vacant, he's moving from an alternate member to the regular member. And then you appointed Joseph Tebow last board meeting to be the alternate. So he's just moving in his position. However, his term will extend now 4 years. There is no one else that is interested in the position. No.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote then. All those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Those abstaining? Motion carries. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
All right, so that moves us to election committee violations. Tyler put this on. Go ahead.
Yeah, on May 5th, 2023, during the appeals hearing, Ben Pacito, the election committee attorney, said that a violation of election code as evidenced by surveillance video has occurred within the election committee and referenced it multiple times. For that reason, I'm going to motion to remove Carol Page's Monty for gross violation of election code from the election committee.
Okay, so there's a motion by Tyler, support by Kim. Any discussion? Mike?
Again, as I stated earlier in the workshop, this is a new interpretation by a new legal advisor on what any action means. It was previously the person was prohibited from any vote that the election committee would take regarding the election unit in which they had a candidate that they were related to. So to remove someone based on this new interpretation, I think is a severe action. I don't support it. I think, quite honestly, they're making it, I think the environment that we have fostered, no one's going to want to be on that election committee. It's getting beat up. And I believe that's exactly what they want to happen. So I urge members to continue to want to volunteer to be on that and show your support, volunteer for your tribe, be on that committee. It's a hard committee to be on, but it's worth it. I yield.
Kim Hampton.
So I understand that the election committee members are volunteers. However, when they agree to volunteer, they're agreeing to abide by our election code.
Excuse me, you guys, this is
so-
a business meeting. Please stop.
I mean, it was stated, it doesn't matter what kind of an
Excuse me,
interpretation
please stop.
or past interpretations. The election committee attorney, Ben Pacito, stated at least 4 times within the appeal hearings that there was a violation. So it's us as a board to remove somebody from a committee for not following code. So that's it.
Order.
Bridget.
Okay, so I think this is pretty ridiculous. You know, Carol, I think it's been 35 years that she's been on this committee, and I think about in an election, okay, 44, and I think of all the hours, especially on an election year, of how much time that she took away from her family, from whatever, to serve on this committee. There hasn't been a lot of craziness until 2022 as far as our elections have gone. She's an elder of this tribe. She's worked here for 100 years, her whole career, and her seat is up in June. And I'm sure she's not seeking re-election because, like Mike said, everybody's getting beat up on this committee. It's you know, people are volunteering. Like I said, they're taking time away from their family. They're getting beat up to serve on this so that we can run our own elections. And this, I can't even believe you guys are entertaining this. And I guess, Aaron Silver, you were the attorney for the election committee. When Mike's talking about in the past, what was your interpretation of somebody? Because Isaac's stepson was a part of his count and he won by 1 vote. And this election is almost 400. So nobody filed a complaint then. So what is your interpretation, Aaron, of, is it the voting or is it opening ballots under camera with police, with the public in the room?
Mike's recitation matches mine when we put that particular code section in. the intent and the advice I gave then was that a direct relation was not going to vote on anything involving their family member. They were not going to sit on any complaints or contests. They were not going to be part of any action involving their particular family member. So it's actually beyond just voting. It did not prohibit them from participating in the open part of the election, moving the ballots from one place to the other. That what would occur publicly in the room. So like I can tell you in the past, I did give the advice as Mike stated. So I do agree. Times move on, times change, different advice has to be given now, different attorney, and that's what we're dealing with. Did that answer your question, Bridget?
Thank you.
Yep.
Kim Hampton, then Tyler.
Like I said, I understand past interpretations. Then Ben Pacito, election committee attorney, should never have stated multiple times in appeals hearings that it was a direct violation. He admitted it, said that the code violation was caught on video surveillance. How can we as a board ignore that? He clearly said it. So I understand that people also donate their time, but that still doesn't mean that they don't have to be accountable for what they're doing. And
Excuse me, you guys. This is the last
I
item
have
today.
heard
She has
so
the floor.
many
This is a business
things
meeting.
tonight
Talk to us
about
afterwards if you'd like.
doing what's right, following the codes, doing what's right.
My
We
God.
are doing what's right. We are following. Somebody violated the code, period. So that is why I supported Tyler's motion.
Excuse me, who's speaking? Okay, law enforcement, could you walk her out, please? It's been continuously out of order all day long. If you guys want to be here, you have to let us conduct these meetings. You can't scream the entire time. All right, there's probably about 40 feet between us. If all I can hear is you guys, that's an issue. Okay, it's a distraction, it's a disruption, it's not necessary. You can disagree with how people vote without treating people disrespectfully. And last I heard, respect is still a grandfather, Michelle. Law enforcement, can you please walk Michelle out, please? It's every single meeting. It's every single meeting. Can you please walk her out, please? This is not okay. Okay. Keep going, please. Bridget.
Well, Kim, I'm gonna say you were in violation too. And so you're sitting here talking about upholding the code. Maybe you should resign because you are an elected official being paid. These people are volunteers and you're accusing them of stuff. You're paid by this tribe. You should resign because you also violated code.
Anyone else? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Rob,
Yes.
Bridget. No. Tyler,
Yes.
Michael,
No.
Lana, Isaac, Sean,
No.
Betty,
Yes.
Darcy,
No.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Kimberly Hampton.
Yes.
All right, so there are 4 yeses, 5 noes, 1 abstention, so motion fails. So that concludes all the items that we have on today's agenda. So without objection, meeting adjourned. All right, meeting adjourned.